Why in the world would Montrose County spend over $600,000 on a piece of equipment? Well, I'm Sue Hansen. I'm one of your elected county commissioners, and we're going to find out why right now. On this episode of County Talks, we're going to talk with our operations manager at Road and Bridge, and we're going to learn all about why this truck is worth every penny. So here's Curtis Milton, and Curtis is going to tell us a little bit about the VacTruck. I'm going to ask dumb questions. Curtis is in charge of all the operations in Montrose County Road and Bridge, which is a lot. And we wanted to bring a little piece of this to you so that you could see why sometimes when you see things, maybe you've tuned into a public meeting and you think we're spending too much money. Well, we want you to know the advantages of that and how we fully vet these kinds of decisions. So Curtis, we're going to look at well, first we're going to talk about culverts.
Culverts.
Okay, so if you're from this area, and of course you are, we love this area, but we know there's culverts. Culverts get filled up. They need to be cleaned out. And the county, that's a big thing that we do. How much time do you spend cleaning?
We almost have a crew. There's guys full-time. Every week we're cleaning culverts.
Right.
During the springtime, spring runoff, there's a lot more culverts. Irrigation system's getting ready to kick off. As soon as the water comes on in the ditches, we're gonna have guys out daily dealing with cleaning culverts.
So, you know, if you live out here in the county, we have a ton of culverts, and we even have culverts that we didn't even know we had because they get grown over and we don't really know about that. But cleaning the culverts out is critical because we got to keep the water flowing.
Yep.
Right? So, yep. I mean, we get calls, I'm sure you get calls about people, there's standing water, they're worried about that. Is that largely due to culverts that have not been?
Standing water, yeah. Culverts that haven't been maintained, they get plugged up with trash that comes down the ditches, or just over time they get silted in with the soil and gravel and stuff. We'll fill the culverts in.
So the county's been using this system, and if you could see this rig and that rig to clean out culverts up to this point, right? Yep. So tell me why this is not necessarily an optimum system.
Well, one of the things that we like about the new GapVax truck is the reduction in the size of the work zone.
Okay.
So if you look at the size of this work zone, we've got 2 pickup trucks, you've got 2 trailers. It's like really, really long.
So how many feet are we talking? So
you're probably talking 100 feet.
And you're taking up all this on the side of a road.
Yep.
Okay. Which causes problems.
It does cause
safety.
Problems, yeah. Yep, so it causes problems. You got a lot of guys out on the road impeding traffic. So anytime that we can reduce the size of the work zone, reduce the amount of guys that are on the side of the road, that's just a win-win, not only for public safety, for the traveling public, because they're not having to go into oncoming traffic or whatever, but for the guys on the road as well.
But we have 2 rigs here, so we have at least 2
drivers. Yep.
And how many other people would be helping on this?
Yeah, you know, for an operation like this, you're going to have 2 drivers. You're going to have it's going to be 4 or 5 guys probably.
Okay. So if I were working on this truck, I'd have to go and get this hose.
Yep, go and get that hose. So you're going to have one person running the controls on the truck. You're going to have somebody else running the hose.
Okay.
The jetter, we have the same thing. You're going to have one guy running the hose and another guy running the controls.
Well, so maybe let's talk a little bit about when you clean out a culvert. There's water involved and there's sucking involved.
Yep, so. there's water involved, there's high pressure water, and there's the piece of equipment actually has a large vacuum built into it. So as we're depending on the operation, if we're jetting a culvert, you're going to have the high pressure hose going through, which is blowing material back out of the culvert. And many times we can't leave that material there because it actually is now it's going to plug the ditch.
Again, yeah.
So in addition to this equipment, we would have to have a backhoe out there. You're going to have a dump truck to remove the material. So this is like a minimum.
Okay.
That work zone can actually be longer than this.
Okay, so we're talking we're by this new truck, which we're going to talk about in a minute. We've reduced the number of people that have to be working out there.
Yep.
We've helped with the safety issue because we're not taking up the roadway and blocking traffic, and even maybe safety hazard for people that for some of our workers that are in the street working.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get rid of this.
Nope.
We're going to
still
still
gonna
use
have
this for smaller jobs. when necessary. But what we have is this new GapVax truck, and it's pretty shiny and white.
It's very shiny.
I know.
And white. White's our favorite color at Montrose
So
County.
let's talk a little bit about why this is such a sweet deal, and how much time it will save and how much safer it is.
Well, what's really cool about the GapVac truck, for one, is it can replace not only the jetter, but the potholer, and it can take the place of the dump truck, and it can take the place of the backhoe in certain situations. So if we're jetting a culvert and you have all of this material that's coming out that we would have to remove with a backhoe and load it into a dump truck, the vac jet truck can do that.
So that all happens in here.
Yep.
So can we walk around over to this side and let's look at. So I think it's if we look at. I want to show everybody this arm thing that comes around.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm not calling it all the right things.
I won't call it the right things either.
Okay. So this arm here, tell me about the way that works. So
the arm works on hydraulics. It's a boom.
Okay.
So it can swing out, raise or lower, and that's the vacuum suction for the truck.
Okay.
So in the old system, that was all manual. You had a guy with a vacuum hose like over his shoulder, and super not ergonomic. I mean, it'd whoop you by the end of the day.
Right.
You know, you're hurting.
So I mean, potentially we're saving any kind of back injuries
Yes.
or things like that.
Yeah,
which is
absolutely. Good. This truck is 100% more ergonomic.
So I'm going to stand here. If I'm the operator, I'm going to stand here and I have a remote control.
You have a remote control.
And I can pull that boom around.
Yep.
And if the culvert's right here, I can just lay it right here.
That's right. Yep, you can bring that suction right down to the material that you need to remove.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, and that would have to be done by a backhoe in the old process.
Okay. So, and then all of that is stored in here.
That's right. Yep. The back of the truck is like gray water storage. So all of the material that you vacuum up from the culvert's just stored right in the truck. So
Okay.
no more dump truck.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, and how many gallons of water does this?
This truck will hold 15 gallons of water, and it has a
15 gallons?
1,500
gallons. Okay.
1,500 gallons.
All
Sorry.
right. Yeah.
And it has a 10-yard storage capacity for the spoils that you remove.
Okay.
Yep.
So how hard is it to drive this truck? Did we have to have special lessons, or is it any operator could jump in there and
I mean, you're going to have a Class B CDL with a tanker endorsement.
Okay.
Because it does have water, so you have to have a special endorsement for that.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to see.
So that's another thing about this truck is if we have an operator that comes in with a Class B, he can run this truck. Where in the old system, if we have to take a backhoe or a Mini X out, whoever's taking that has to have a Class A CDL.
Okay. So we're really on the old system. We might even have up to 4 or 5 guys out there or workers. Where this one we have 1 or 2.
You're going to have 2 at least. I mean, probably 3.
Just for safety reasons.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'd like to see inside. Can
You wanna
we
see inside?
take a look?
Yeah.
Okay.
You driving?
I don't have my CDL. Okay. Wow. So there's a whole control panel here. It's pretty amazing. So
Yep.
Are we looking at? We have backup. Tell me about.
Yeah.
Tell me what we have.
One thing that's really cool about this truck, I mean, obviously, it's super hard to see out of this thing, even with the mirrors.
Right.
So this truck has 4 cameras. There's a camera out at each side of the truck, so you can see what's going on.
Okay. So where do you see the
cameras are all right
cameras
here.
are here,
Yeah,
okay.
they're going to be hard to see from where the cameraman's at. But
So can we take a ride?
yeah, we can take a ride.
You want to take a ride? Okay, let's see what. Let's.
I mean, I'm okay.
Yeah,
It's up to you.
we
Sit
can
right
get
here.
up in here somehow.
Oh wow, now that you really pushed that on that seat, Drew.
This thing turns
What
sharp.
do you say?
Does it?
It was like
That's
a-
another thing to talk about with this is the turning radius on this thing is incredible.
Okay,
For as big a truck it is, this thing turns dang near on a dime.
so we're gonna just take this around the yard here, just for a quick spin. But if I were out there, if I worked for you, I could work this boom myself, right, with the remote.
So once you guys do do around, go drive around for a minute, and then come out, and then we'll go to the front of the truck, and we'll show you why another reason that we really like this truck for the safety purposes is the remote, which is right next to you charging.
Okay.
But there's also controls up front, which actually have the truck protecting you from any impacts or so on, because usually you're pulling straight into it.
Okay.
And then you can see on the cameras, like the one camera is the front camera, you can pull right up to where you need to be.
Okay.
So
I didn't introduce Brandon Wallace, but Brandon Wallace is our superintendent.
Yes, ma'am.
Road and Bridge, in charge of all the operations here. So he's joining us. Are you going to ride along? Going to stand on the
no,
side?
I'm going to let you guys
All right.
enjoy the ride.
All right. So let's take a spin.
Get you when you get back.
So a lot of these newer trucks have a push button transmission on them.
Okay. Why is that?
Right.
Just easier?
Yeah, just easier.
Yeah.
They're trying to make things easier for the guys to use, and this truck is super comfortable.
These seats are really
I know.
cushy,
Yeah,
man.
it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't go, I mean, when I sat down, but when Drew sat down, I'm way down here now. Drew.
I'm editing this. You got to be careful.
You're So do you have to have any other like vehicles as you're driving? It's a pretty big vehicle. Do you have to have a safety vehicle in front?
No.
Are you pretty
no.
much okay?
So this truck has got strobe lights on all four sides,
Uh-huh.
and it's not like a wide load or anything, so
Yeah.
we don't need an escort.
So other counties have these VacTrucks as well, right?
Yeah. Yep. A lot of municipalities, a lot of cities use them.
Mhm.
Other counties. Depending on their situation, their culverts. Some counties have a lot of like stormwater
Right.
in their subdivisions and stuff.
They want to keep it all clean. Keep
Yeah.
that,
And that's something that Montrose County, we're starting to learn now as we're starting to get into more of the subdivisions that
Mhm.
we actually do have some of those stormwater systems now that we're going to need to start maintaining.
right.
So this truck's really going to help.
So as we've added subdivisions into the county maintenance schedule,
That's right.
we're finding that's a new thing, right?
Mhm.
I mean, some of the older places in the county, it wouldn't have the stormwater
That's right.
issues, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So not only are we saving man hours on this with this vehicle, we're more efficient. So we're safer, which is really important for us. That's one of the most important things that
Yes.
Montrose County want to make sure that everybody is safe, and not just our workers, but people that are on the road. If you're blocking the roadway for somebody, it makes it difficult. They're trying to pass. There might be an oncoming
Mhm.
car, so that's really a consideration.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yep, and if we can get this truck off of the road so that we're not blocking the lane, then we don't have to have flaggers out on the road.
So you're able to pull this off to the side of the road. You're not going to sit it in the middle of the road and do this.
Yeah,
right?
as much as possible.
That's
Yeah.
great. Cool. Well, so you're getting a bird's eye view of our yard. We got a lay down yard over here. We got a bunch of culverts over here.
Yeah.
Those are exciting to film.
Culverts, we should have gone out on the road.
Yeah, we could have done a cleaning of a culvert while we were here working. We could have let Drew do it. So, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you don't appreciate how big this yard is until you drive around in it.
No, yeah, there's a lot of equipment out here. Montrose County Road and
This
Bridge. has
road
a
and
lot of
bridge
equipment.
this complex was built. Do you know what the year it was built? Like
17, I think.
2017, something like that. Maybe even before that. Nice size. So what do you think about? Have you been out on the VacTruck with your guys?
So I went out on the demo,
Mhm.
not in this truck, but in the truck that we demoed as we were doing all of our research.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and it was really awesome. We went way up Davewood Road, like way out,
Mhm.
and we could get there. It was really quick to get out there.
Right.
We didn't have to mobilize all kinds of equipment, and on the culvert that we cleaned during the demo, we actually ended up reestablishing the drainage.
Immediately
So-
you could tell that?
Yeah, so
that's-
we ended up using the truck to recut the ditch, to haul away all of the spoilage.
Uh-huh.
And that's all stuff, like I was saying before, we would have had to have had at least two other pieces of equipment to have done that.
Yeah.
And we did it all just in one
That's
fell
great.
swoop.
And then there's also something we talked about before is that other counties might be looking at we have MOUs with other counties so that they would be interested in, leasing this from us
Yeah.
for their own culverts because it is a sizable investment.
Yeah.
And luckily we have the road and bridge tax so that we're able to afford this for our county. So it's pretty.
Yeah, there's
pretty cool.
opportunities to be able to help out the neighboring
Yeah.
and surrounding communities and stuff.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well let's go see what the boom arm does. So if I'm working, if I'm working for you, I'm taking. This is where I'm going to start sucking up my.
Yep.
Culvert
Yeah. So
stuff,
we'd
right?
actually there's some metal extensions that we'd put on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it could get it down to whatever height that we need.
Okay. Cool. So we don't want to do this, but again, I just wanted to show how this gesticulates out so that you can. So if a culvert's right there,
Yep.
this just comes. So the guy doesn't have to pick up his hose.
No, yeah, you're
to-
not dragging a hose over your shoulder.
Yeah.
It's all just via remote. You stand off to the side and the boom comes up. It'll extend out to wherever you need it, and then you drop the nozzle right to the inlet of the culvert.
So what else do we need to what else do you need to tell me about this piece of equipment that is so?
This reel on the front of the truck replaces the jetter. So the reel actually swings out too, so you can swing it out, and that's where the high pressure nozzle for actually cleaning the culverts.
Okay.
So the reel is going to remove the material from inside of the culvert, and then the boom removes the spoils afterwards.
So time wise, how much time is that going to save from this system? Like if I were doing a usual size culvert.
Yeah, so one of the things that's really cool about this one is it can remove a lot more material a lot faster because the size of the suction hose on this is 8 inches versus 4
Yes.
inches.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and a couple other things that are really more efficient about this truck is the water capacity. So this truck has 1,500 gallons of water, where the old jetter only holds 300 gallons of water.
Right.
So we can do 5 times as much work with this truck before we have to go refill with fresh water.
Right.
Yep.
Which is where that's the whole point, right? You can
Yeah.
do more with less,
Yep.
and that's the whole
Yep.
point of that. So
Absolutely.
So that's the story of why it's important to upgrade equipment and make sure you're staying current. I know you guys have done a lot of research on this VacTruck.
Yeah.
Happy to have it in our fleet.
Oh, we're so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the guys excited?
The guys are excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like the space shuttle, there's
Yeah.
like lots of knobs and buttons and stuff, but our guys are super smart and they've already trained on it. They've been out using it, and
Yeah, we have some hot shots on our team, don't we?
yeah, we really got some good ones.
It's really great. So there's something extra also on this
Yeah.
truck that we didn't really talk about, but we want to. So
Yep.
my understanding is that this assembly here, which Curtis is going to talk about in a minute, would have cost another additional $50,000, but it was included in the price of this, and it has some unique features. Tell us about what it does.
So this is a hose and high pressure pump system that we're actually going to be able to use to replace our potholer, which is a whole nother operation, a different piece of equipment. So in the past, whenever we would go to replace a culvert or to replace a bridge or a box culvert or whatever, anytime we're going to have to stick a tooth of a piece of equipment into the ground, we have to find the utilities.
So when you call potholing, and I think of potholing as the kind I run into.
No.
Okay.
Yep. We're not talking about the potholes that everybody hates.
Okay.
It's just an industry term for
Okay.
locating utilities.
So before you started excavating a culvert, you want to make sure that you're not going to damage any
Yeah.
of the utilities.
Yep.
So this will help.
Yeah, so we'd call 811,
Okay.
just like everybody has to do.
Okay.
So we call 811, and actually what we'll do, this is basically like a pressure washer. So we go out and we start pressure washing the ground, and it's going to make the soil soft.
Cool.
And then we use the vacuum to suck the soil away. and it's like non-evasive excavation.
Right.
So you're not going to hit a high pressure gas line with
Right.
a backhoe.
So you can easily see if you're near utilities and damage them.
Yep. So we
Cool.
have to whenever we call 811 and they go put all their different colors out on the ground flags everywhere, we have to find the phone lines, we have to find gas lines, we have to find the fiber, internet, all of that stuff.
Right. Right.
And then we're going to measure the depth. That way, whenever our operators go in to actually start performing their work, then they know where that stuff is at.
So that's
Because it costs a lot of money.
Sure.
If we hit that stuff, we have to pay for it.
Right.
And if it's a high pressure gas line, then it can be catastrophic.
So this is a bonus add-on.
Yeah.
So which is
Yep.
really great, and it'll help you do your work a lot quicker and faster too.
Yeah, and for culverts, if we need to reestablish the drainage, like the ditch going into the culvert or whatever, we can use the high pressure wand to hydraulically excavate that material away, and then we don't have to have the backhoe to reestablish the ditch.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So just another reason why this was a great opportunity for Montrose County to streamline our processes. Well, I hope this sort of enlightens you as to how and why we make these decisions. We do vet these kinds of decisions. This was approved in the last year's budget cycle, and then we had the opportunity to get it in this year. So when did you receive this?
We've only had it for a couple weeks.
Couple
now.
weeks.
Yeah.
So we're happy to be able to offer this. This will help our citizens. This is all of us that live in the county. We know that culverts can be a problem, and now we have a way that we can be more efficient and serve you better. So
Yeah.
I hope you've learned a little bit more about Curtis and about VacTrucks. And if you have any questions, you can always call the county and talk to us. But we'll see you on the next episode of County Talk. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thank you.